Welcome to Park Center High School as we proudly present the inaugural Park Center Holiday Tournament. Today our third place game begins our doubleheader with 2, 3, and 5 teams, but some very strong players backing them up. It's the Duluth East Greyhounds and the Rogers Royals. Hi everyone, I'm Mike Peden, and joining me after a 5-year hiatus is Tracy Buford. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Tracy, as we mentioned, 2, 3, and 5 teams, but you had a chance to see them yesterday. Both have a lot of talent, making those records a little deceptive.
Yes, exactly. I think you'll see a really tough game today. I mean, watching them play yesterday, they're both tough, gritty. I think this is going to be a really good game today.
Duluth East is led by Hannah Johnson, who's among the leaders in rebounds and blocks. Brings a steady anchor down low, has a long wingspan. How is that going to influence the postgame?
Yeah, I think that she's going to be a big influence and obviously one to reckon with. I think the team really revolves around her, really feeds off of her, so she's definitely going to be the power for them today.
And her competition is no less stiff. Hannah Shervin from Rogers, among the leaders in blocks, I think actually leads that category, so that's going to make for a fun matchup down low.
It's going to be a great matchup, which we don't see a lot today. Two really good posts going at it, especially with block records the way that they have. So it's going to be great to watch both of them.
You certainly didn't see that out of her in her playing days back at Highland Park all those years ago. But it's not just Shervin that Rogers has up their sleeve. They also have Taylor Paulsrud and Taylor Anderson, and Anderson is in the top 10 for assists and steals, so Rogers a little deeper than that record might suggest.
Exactly, and I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage because obviously having that assist leader helps you in the post. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out today.
And what do you think this game will come down to, having seen these teams yesterday?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think it's going to be really on the two post play. It's really going to be a great matchup, so to see how those two kind of even out. But if you think about it, then it's how do those role players step up? We know that they're going to get that play out of their post, but then how is everybody else around them going to really step up today?
A lot to figure out, but a lot of fun awaits us in our first of 2 games today here at Park Center. We'll be back with the starting lineups in a moment. Welcome back to Park Center High School, everybody. As we get ready for the starting lineup, we'll bring that to you now. We'll start with the Rogers Royals. It's number 25, Taylor Paulsrud, the 5'10 senior guard. Number 31, Allison Dahlgren, 5'8 sophomore guard. Number 33, Marina Nowak, 5'9 senior forward. Number 34, Hannah Shervin, 6'2 junior center. And number 40, Haley Finkelson, 5'6 sophomore guard. Duluth East will start. Number 1, Ashley Williams, the 5'7 sophomore guard. Number 24, Danielle Seelick, 6' senior forward. Number 31, Liz Libben, the 5'11 senior forward. Number 35, Hannah Johnson, 6'1 senior center. And number 44, Rachel Weinberg, the 5'11 senior center. Rogers having a limited prep window today. Had a bus malfunction on the way here. They were able to get here in time, and the staff was gracious enough to hold the 20-minute clock until they were out here. But Tracy, superstition and routine play such a huge factor from a mental standpoint. How does Rogers deal with their delay in getting here?
That's always never the way you want to start a game, but at least they got a decent amount of time to warm up, so I think that they'll be good.
Could be worse. They could have had the situation that befell in Niagara University. If you remember earlier this month, the storms in Buffalo, they were stranded for over 2 days.
Yes, exactly. So this is nothing. A few-minute delay, no big deal.
And the Minnesota Lynx also familiar with delays in their 2013 championship run. They got caught in Atlanta traffic, which can be very congested. Got to the arena at Gwinnett Center late and still went on to dominate the Atlanta Dream and complete what was a 3-game sweep in that year's finals.
Exactly. So
I don't know if the Rogers Royals can refer to that example if they remember that instance, but
they're hoping to play off of that.
As I mentioned, this is the first time in 5 years we've called the game together. You'd have to go back to the Twin Cities game from 2009. The final year of the Central-South rivalry, so to speak, or at least at its peak. It was Taylor Hill's last regular season game in high school, and of course, what she did. Went on to Ohio State, playing in the WNBA, and now is a mother herself.
Yes, exactly. Time flies.
And I'll never forget our EAU encounter.
Yeah, we won't bring that up right now.
Well, I have some chewing gum, but it's I plan on using it to chew today. Rogers wearing the white, Duluth East wearing the red. We are underway here at Park Center. This is our third place game, our feature game. The Park Center Pirates and Champlain Park Rebels will take place later this afternoon. Entry pass inside, and that was deflected. Weinberg got in there. They were looking for Dahlgren. As we said, 2, 3, and 5 teams, but Duluth East in particular plays a tough schedule because they're an independent school, so they don't have any conference affiliation to deal with. Rogers getting the offensive rebound. Dahlgren has it. Duluth East, are they playing a modified zone here? Oh, Rogers broke it. Zervin on the board.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing a little bit of a matchup, but they're definitely doubling down, as you would expect, down on Hannah down low.
Fouls on Weinberger, first personal. Hannah Zervin, 12 points per game. Completes a three-point play. We'll see Duluth East in their first possession. Duluth East last made the state tournament back in 2012 under the leadership of Shamika Hopkins. Since then, they've run into a school with some notoriety to their name called Anoka. Transition bucket is off the mark from number 25. That was Taylor Paulsrud for the Rogers Royals. Duluth East looking to fast break. Rogers can't save it in time, but Duluth East will have to run a set. Inside, no basket for Danielle Seelick. I said number 24. She's changed her number today. She's wearing number 43 for this game. Ashley Williams with the steal down low. Now, you saw this team in Park Center's win yesterday over Duluth East, but the Greyhounds made it tough for a half. They were pretty close in the second half. What is it about them that we'll have to watch out for today?
You know, from what I can tell from yesterday, they just really played tough as a team.
Shervin with the block, but no finish. That was Marina Nowak. You can't leave those bunnies empty. Here's Hannah Johnson, left-hander, no, but an offensive rebound. Traveling violation. How tough was it for Hannah Johnson yesterday for Park Center? Because you don't run into too many teams with as strong of a postgame as Hannah Johnson.
It's true, and you know what? The thing that Park Center did really well yesterday was doubling down on her and really helping in the post. So that made it tough for her yesterday.
Long two is short from Paulsrud, and Williams with the rebound. Ashley Williams doesn't get too many of those. It's about 1.5 per game. Still 3-0 in favor of the Rogers Royals. Rogers actually faced this Park Center team. You had a chance to see them in action in the second game of the year. That's a traveling violation on Rogers. And that was a close one. Park Center had to sweat that one out.
Yes, Rogers played them very tough.
What was the key to that game? Because, again, Rogers at 3-5, you're thinking, how much talent do they have? But they have some big-name players on that roster.
They do, and, you know, I think it was in that game, they just really refused to quit. You know, they really fought the whole game, and so they made it tough. They let Park Center know that they weren't just going to roll over. So that was a tough one.
And Rogers, they've had some state tournament appearances in their history. Weinberg is blocked. That was Dahlgren with the rejection. Paulsrud still looking for a shot. Williams with the rebound. Weinberg has it. Libben was calling for it, but instead they'll go to Johnson. Now she kicks out to Williams, and we're playing hot potato here Williams, open three. Off the mark. And the rebound going to Dahlgren.
So both teams starting off a little cold here today, Mike.
Three on the way. Got it. That was Paulsrud with her first basket. Paulsrud averaging 11.7 points per game. She has already made her college commitment, heading to Minnesota State Mankato. A lot of Minnesota recruits going to that D2 school. And there's Rogers coming up with a steal. They lead 6-0 over Duluth East.
So I just need to say that they were cold for her to hit one.
Here she goes. Well, not that time, but the O-board, coming up short. Shervin draws the foul, will shoot a pair. Hannah Shervin, as we noted in the open, leads the state in blocks with 4.7 a game. And 11.7 rebounds, averaging a double-double this season. I wonder if she takes inspiration from Amanda Zowie B. I mentioned that because I was at the Minnesota-Nebraska game last night. Minnesota with a 17-point comeback. Amanda Zowie instrumental in that rally. 20 points, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. And the Gophers, they don't have Rachel Banham, but their grit is still intact. And Shervin makes both free throws. She is 3 for 3 so far. And Rogers with an early 8-0 lead. Drawing the foul is Libben. She'll shoot a pair. Liz Libben, called a strong slasher by Joaquim Harris. I had the chance to speak with him before this game. And Libben averaging 10 points per game. 62% free throw shooter. She gets on the board here. And Libben, part of a strong senior class that Joaquim Harris said it is going to be bittersweet to see them leave.
It's always hard when you have a good group of seniors.
Well, and they're highly involved. They do a lot of volunteerism. They go to other Duluth East events. They're very active kids, and when you don't get too many groups like that.
Right.
Of course, we have a three from the corner. Bullseye! Number 35, Paige Doberstein. Yes, Tracy, I still use that trademark. Doberstein on the board. 11-2 in favor of Rogers. Runner is too strong from Libben. She might have drawn some contact there. Here's Doberstein. Over to Fingelson. There's a long cross-court pass. Oh, the entry pass, too much traffic, and it's intercepted by number 20, Maggie Leiter. Leiter kicks out. And with the rejection is Paulsrud. Now Rogers can run, and that's what they do. Bailey Miller pulls up, can't get it off the window, and the rebound to number 13, Veronica Rudolph. They snuck in these substitutions while I wasn't looking. I've got to look up all these names. Duluth East having some trouble, though, getting inside, and Rogers, I think, they're finding some range outside here, and here's Johnson. That was a tough shot, almost got it to fall. And that's one reason why Hannah Shervin is just denying Hannah Johnson in the paint.
Yeah, making it tough on the inside.
I think Jada Buford, she's eager for some camera time. And there's a lay-in for Shervin on the high-low play. Hannah Shervin up to 7 points. Leiter out to number 12. That's Jada Olson. Well, jotting down all these names makes me glad that there's no shot clock at high school. On those longer sets, it gives you time to jot down the names.
Yes.
But to finish up that point on the Duluth East senior class, you kind of gone through that yourself. Of course, your oldest daughter having a pair of state titles with St. Paul Central, but that 08 class had a lot of big names. It was Buford, Megan Howard. She had that strong senior season.
Yes.
Georgie Jones.
Yep.
And there's a triple. from Selich, and it's 13-5. So you know what it's like to see a big senior class leave.
Yes, and the thing that you hope for is that they are just instilling that in the younger underclassmen.
Baseline drive, swish. I should say the baseline shot from Bailey Miller, but it's good for 2 anyway. (15-5) in favor of Rogers, and Shervin owning the paint right now. And one reason I believe Shervin is leading the state in blocks, Chase Coley is no longer a high school student. She's now at Iowa.
Yes.
Ran away with that mark last year. In fact, broke her own record 3 times for most blocks in a season. Corner 3. Swish. Haley Finkelson joins the 3-point parade. Going in for the Royals is Adri Churchma. (18-5), foul away from the ball. And it appears it will go against Rogers. 10:24 left. Shervin not on the floor right now, but Rogers with that 3-point game, that could really open up some space down low if they can recognize it.
Yes, that would really help them out.
And Johnson just struggling against the Rogers interior. But Selich denies the fast break look. And Olsen will bring it up. That was Marina Nowak on the attempt for the Royals. Johnson driving. Finally gets one to fall, floats it in. It's a cliche, but it works. The best way to cure a shooting slump, keep shooting.
Exactly. And she's being aggressive around the rim.
Olsen with the deflection. It will stay here. As we saw Jada Buford, of course, your youngest daughter go by. I guess it's a bit surreal, considering how long you've been involved in the prep scene. Of course, you went to Highland Park, went to a couple of state tournaments there. Kiara won 2. Jada won 1 last year.
Yes, it's making me feel very old, Mike.
You've been involved in prep basketball for almost 30 years, roughly 30 years in some capacity.
That's right.
Well, you did go to college for a little while, but makes me wonder what you did in the interim between your time and then Kiara.
I was raising them when they were young babies. That's what I was doing. Until they got old enough to dribble, you know.
And now your oldest is coaching, Robbinsdale Cooper, in her first season.
Yes.
8th all-time in Gophers scoring. Paige Doberstein. I was going to get that name down eventually. She's up to 4. And Rogers with a 20-7 lead. Williams to Leiter. Back out to Williams. Williams has a lane. Drives, scores.
And that's what they need to keep doing, Mike. They need to keep penetrating that. You know, they settled too much for trying to work it around the perimeter.
There's a block from Johnson. Johnson 4th in the state in that category, 10th in rebounds, but Duluth East on a miscue there. Leiter wasn't ready for the pass.
Yeah, so they were really settling for that perimeter play and not really attacking. So that was a great job by number 1.
Rogers calls timeout. They held a 29 lead with 8:35 left. So have you given Kiara any pointers? Because I know you've done some coaching with traveling teams, and of course you led Jada in her younger days. Is there a sense of surrealism that comes with it?
You know, it was funny because when I watched her coach for the first time, I felt like she had my demeanor, at coaching. So I thought that was kind of funny. But, Kiara is she knows the game so well. I just basically told her to, stay positive and encouraging her players. And that's what she does. That's what she did as a player. So don't need to give her too much advice.
She did tell me that when Well, hang on. We've got a steal here by Selich. Duluth East can push. Reverse. Bounces out. Libin draws the slap on Rogers, and she'll shoot 2. The foul is on Madison Mikulich. Libin averaging 10 points per game, as we noted. Two for 2 so far. So to finish up, I asked Kiara when, just before she gave birth to London. That's right.
Yes.
I bungled it the last time. I will not do that again. But I asked her how soon would her first scholarship offer come, considering that she's been raised by a couple of athletic junkies, and she said a good 15 years, which is very much like Kiara.
Yes, exactly.
That's very just the facts type.
Well, she did get a hoop. She did get the Little Tykes basketball hoop for Christmas, so we've already started.
I got a jar of homemade pickles. No, let's just say I have a contact, or a secondary contact that makes her own homemade pickles. You would die for those. You want flavor, you want a jar of those pickles.
You didn't know that I love pickles, so I would have been happy with that Christmas gift.
You may have to make the trek over to St. Paul. I'll share mine with you.
All right, awesome.
Next Cooper or Park Center game, I'll share one with you.
All right.
Pickles and prunes. I don't know if those two go together, but...
I don't think so.
Hey, they're low-calorie snacks, we'll put it that way. 20-11 our score. Rogers using the outside shooting to their advantage in the first half. Here's Shervin back inside. Comes up short on the drive. And Libin is pushed. And that is the last foul to give for the Royals. Here is Williams. Kicks out, top of the key. And coming up short there was number 13, Veronica Rudolph. This is Finkelson with the ball. Bounces. On the drive, it's Nowak with the finish. That's Nowak's first field goal. It's 22-11 now. Foul on 21, Bailey Miller, and almost a cheap foul there by Rogers because now Duluth East gets a chance to shoot free throws. I mean, to be fair, you never want to give up a foul, but that's a tough one to take. Didn't really look like a driving move, and you just make too much contact.
Yeah, she just didn't quite move her feet.
But an empty possession as Olden missed the front end of a 1-on-1. And it looks like number 43, Danielle Selich, is getting some work done by the athletic trainer. And Rogers stepped out of bounds, so they turn it over.
I think they had the right idea. They were trying to be patient. You know, they got the lead. They're trying to work it around a little bit.
Perhaps a little too patient. Olsen to Johnson. Out to Williams. Oh, nice ball movement by Duluth East, but Rogers was ready. They slammed the door. Johnson used up the dribble, fires. Shervin playing great defense on the 6'2 senior.
Yes, making it tough for her to get that shot off.
And we've got a foul on Duluth East. It's on Olsen. They had several to give. And Shervin is just a junior, so she'll be back next year to lead this Rogers team. And Rogers, they've had a history of strong post players. Jada's really eager to come on for camera time, isn't she?
No, I think she's just stealing money from me for concessions. Stealing money from...
Well, you seem to be okay with it. No, We've said hi a couple of times when Park Center was at the state tournament last year. And it's been fun to see her grow from her days as a little kid. How about a triple from Taylor Paulsrud? That's a second. I remember when Jada Buford was about maybe half my height.
Yeah,
she's grown a little bit.
She's pretty small the first time you met her.
Well, so was I at one point. Johnson, one-on-one coverage. They were able to get her away from Shervin. She was subbed out for now, and Johnson takes advantage.
She used her body perfectly on that drive.
And that's something she's been getting stronger and wiser about. Left corner this time, but Paulsrud can't put it in. Offensive rebound, no putback. Livin comes up with the rebound, but has trouble on the touch pass. And comes up with it anyway, as number 32 couldn't save it in time. That was Bella Wilson for the Rogers Royals. Johnson, again, got it.
That was just a mismatch.
This is akin to when Brittany Griner comes out of games for the Phoenix Mercury. Other teams are able to drive to the paint with more success. Duluth East taking that same approach.
Yes.
But they leave a wide open Wilson. She couldn't put down the deuce. And Williams comes up with the rock. Leiter. Actually, that was 13. Rudolph deflected by Rogers, so Duluth East will hang on to it. 4:34 left, 25-15 in favor of the Rogers Royals.
And might continue to go to Johnson. They need to use this time to take advantage, like you said.
But the baseline pass is intercepted, and here comes a fast break deuce for Allison Dahlgren, her first field goal. Rogers building this 12-point advantage. 7 of the 9 players who have taken the floor for the Royals have scored. Paulsrud with the steal.
Yeah, they tried to force it inside that time.
Always good to see such a strong balance early in the game. 3 on the way, off the heel. That was Fingelson. And Johnson has it. Scramble, and it's won by Duluth East.
Nice
a fake
pass.
3. Ashley Williams had a look, and a Rogers defender swooped in from behind to make the stop.
Yeah, that was a great pass.
Drive, but a charge. No basket for Marina Nowak. And that was the right call. I can't see who. I don't remember who got the charge, but she was set from about a mile out.
That was Hannah Johnson.
Hannah Johnson.
She had great position.
No free throws awarded, of course, because it's a team control foul, and some debris, actually a whistle, it looks like, fell on the court, and they have to go retrieve it.
We don't want them to lose their whistle.
As much as they can infuriate fans, especially when calls don't go their way, no, you don't want that whistle to be lost. And free throws coming after Bella Wilson made a little too much contact with Weinberg. Still a 1-on-1 situation here. Weinberg averaging 4.8 points per game, but a 75% free throw shooter, 15-20.
And you got to give Wilson credit. She's undersized, but she's trying to play him tough down low, but she's a bit small to be playing him on the inside.
Weinberg makes both. Duluth East off to a 6 of 7 start from the charity stripe. Rogers is 3 of 3, all of those free throws coming from Gervin. Turnaround.
Oh.
And Johnson is collided with Paulsrud. She'll draw the foul, and double bonus time for the Greyhounds.
So this is, Mike, where they really need to take advantage. So they're 6 of 7. So this is what they need to continue to do for the next 3 minutes.
And I see Shervin is going to sub back in. We've noticed a significant drop-off when Shervin is on the bench. Let's see what they can do from the free throw line. Johnson, 66% free throw shooter, 15.4 points per game, and 12.9 rebounds per game. Not too often you have the starting posts, or starting centers, I should say, averaging double-doubles. Johnson comes up empty. Would you call that a jinx? No,
I know you hate to do that, right?
Well, as we all know, you can't control what they do out there. We just narrate the action. Here's another three. Rogers can't put it in that time. That was Churchma. But they win the O-board. And Libin has other ideas. Intercepts the pass. Came up short. And she was on the line. Tried to save it, but you got to be inside the baseline to do that. I was going to ask you, because it's been a while, and you've had some time to let this simmer. I guess, what was a more excruciating win for you? Because both of your daughters have won state tournaments. Jada didn't have an active role, but Park Center needed 3 overtimes to beat Marshall. And Rogers, they won't get the bounce there. Meanwhile, your oldest had to sweat out that rematch with Minneapolis South. And still one of my favorites in state tournament history.
Yeah, you don't get those that often. As you know, now you've been covering for 9 years, so you know that doesn't come around all that often where you get those great rivalries like that,
Johnson's shot from the elbow was deflected, and a dead ball rebound to Rogers. So which one was more tough for you to watch?
Well, definitely it was Central South, obviously, but, we're just getting started at Park Center. So.
I suppose your daughter Kiara played in that one a little bit.
Yes, yep.
That was a 49-44 win, and that's a foul. Jada Olson couldn't stop herself in time and made contact with Bailey Miller, who will shoot 2. Miller averaging 3.2 points per game. Well, give Jada some time. Maybe she'll give you a nail biter. Find out just how gray your hair can get. I tease. But that game with Minneapolis South, that was the last time in Taylor Hill's high school career that she was held to single digits. I believe that was one of only 2 instances in an entire varsity career where she did not get past 10 points.
And I believe it, and that's a long varsity career. Not 4, but 6 years, I believe.
Former record holder in career scoring before she was passed by Rebecca Dahlman, who is now at Vanderbilt. A team that got a pretty big win over the Golden Gophers. And speaking of rivalries, as Weinberg draws a foul inside with 1:32 left against Doberstein, that was the first time that Rebecca Dahlman beat Carly Wagner when the two went head-to-head. If you remember, Bram and New Richland.
Yes.
Richland won those 2 meetings in 2012 in the quarterfinal round when Dahlman broke Taylor Hill's record. Weinberg at the line here.
You never know as players where you're going to end up in college, right? You'll see each other again.
And the second, I was going to say the follow-up was the 2A championship between those two, when Wagner won the state tournament by herself, 50 points.
Yes, that was amazing.
Both are just very fun to talk to. Of course, I get the chance to see Carly and Mike Gophers coverage, and I covered them last year when they played Washburn. And Rebecca Dahlman, just a very enthusiastic kid. And it's great to see that Dahlman recovered from her blood clots and that Wagner, hopefully we'll see here, have great success for the Gophers.
Yes.
Here's a steal by Olson. And as much as Rogers has controlled this game, Duluth East really isn't out of this.
They are not out of it. They've kept it a 10-point game. And
they could trim it further. No, but a high carom goes right into Libin's hands, and she will come up short on the runner. Jump ball. Possession arrow favors Duluth East. And this is not a very fast-paced game, so it's not going to take many possessions in the second half.
Right, exactly.
Johnson has it. And there's Shervin again. And that's going to be a foul. I believe it's on Duluth East. It is. They had 2 to give, so no free throws coming yet. Hard to believe 9 years I've been doing this. Of course, I'm in my 5th season covering the Gophers, and for a while it just seems like we couldn't get away from each other.
Yes.
Because I was covered Kiara through her time. Of course, we actually shared a year together at college, and I started covering the team. And somehow you have managed to put up with me without filing a restraining order. I appreciate that. 30 seconds left here in the opening half. And Churchma missing the triple. Let's see if Duluth East holds for the final shot, or will they try for it? Well, Rogers was there in time, so they'll have to run a set. And it appears they will hold for the last shot. But Churchma almost got the steal there. That's going to give Williams an opening, and she'll shoot 2. Yeah.
And that goes back to, Mike, a couple plays ago where I was saying that, Ashley took that drive and attacked, and that's exactly what they need to continue to do.
And
they really need to take advantage of being in that double bonus.
Williams and that free throw shooting on point. Williams averaging 5.2, as we said, and 2.8 assists. And Duluth East, 10 of 13 in the first half in free throws. That's a pretty impressive mark for high school.
That is awesome.
5 seconds left. Rogers has time for one more. Churchma out to 21. The baseline shot, no good, but count the putback for Hannah Shervin. The junior center, the state leader in blocks, asserting her influence to end the first half. And a big momentum swing for the Rogers Royals.
Yes, it was. And I think a lot of it had to do with number 34 being on the bench. They tried to take advantage going to Johnson, but she made her presence known even in the last second here.
And it looks like Seelich, limping, may have suffered an ankle injury of sorts. I see her ankle is taped up, so we'll see if she comes back for the second half. What needs to change? Duluth East doing well for the free throw line, but really having a tough time getting inside. And Rogers, a great outside game, is helping their interior.
Exactly. And I think for Duluth East, they need to continue to attack, like I said. They need to not try to force it into Johnson, and that's hurt them a couple times. But they really need to be a little more aggressive. And, Rogers, on the other hand, they can't settle for all those outside jump shots. They kind of need to do the inside-out game and use number 34.
So we'll take a trip down the memory lane in Funky Town style, and we'll return. Rogers leading 31-21. This is the third place game of the inaugural Park Center Holiday Tournament. This is high school girls basketball. And welcome back. Tracy and Crystal and I are reminiscing with all of this soundtrack selection here at Park Center. They go through a lot of generations here. And this is my first visit, so I don't know if this is a habit of theirs, but
no, you know what?
I think I'll have to come up here. I like
think this is special for the tournament, I think.
Or maybe they knew I was coming, and this is their way of trying to bring me back.
Maybe.
They want to have more games. Rogers off to a 31-21 start in the first half. A lot of that had to do with the outside shooting, but some great inside work as well. Hannah Shervin leading all players with 9 points. And Taylor Paulsrud has 6. Paige Doberstein has 5. Those are your notables for Rogers. Nobody on Duluth East has more than 6. Hannah Johnson with that mark. Weinberg, Williams, and Libben all have 4. And a lot of that has to do with how stingy Rogers' defense is in the paint.
Absolutely.
Mike Peden here with Tracy Buford. This is the third place game. Of course, the championship will take place later today in the inaugural holiday tournament for the Park Center Pirates. The Pirates getting an early preview of their upcoming section or conference play as they face Champlin Park. Here's Libben out to Seelich. Well, good to see Seelich back in there. Her ankle was taped up. She was limping toward the locker room at halftime. We were wondering if we were going to see her back out there, and always good to see a player on the floor.
Yes, didn't expect to see her back so quick.
Well, especially after Rachel Banham's injury, that's something you think about. As you know, injuries suck.
Yes.
Rogers on the run, but they don't have the position, so they'll back off for a set. Here's Shervin. She'll bounce out. And this is Fingelson out to Nowak. Dahlgren. And Rogers being very patient here on their possessions, but a little too patient. Duluth East did get a deflection, though. And we appear to have conflicting rulings, so we're going to sort this out. And it was off of Duluth East, so Rogers hangs on to it. But for teams that played those longer possessions, and Rogers, Edina has won, Providence Academy in their glory years, Woodbury, they come to mind. It can be very frustrating for the opposing team, but I wonder sometimes if you can lay back for too long and the defense picks up on it.
Yeah, well, I think they just got a little careless in their passing, You still, even though you're working around and being patient, you still need to have those crisp, good passes.
Foul. Free throws coming for Marina Nowak. Nowak averaging 10.1 points per game. And 8.3 rebounds.
Duluth East really tripling down that time.
And one player we haven't seen today but got a lot of attention was Taylor Anderson. Nowak comes up empty. Those were Rogers' first misses from the free throw line, but they still hold a 10-point lead. And Selich with the steal. Like you said, the passing has to be crisp, especially if you play those slower possessions. And Johnson on the drive draws the harm. And here's a chance for her to get some points. Really struggled in the first half. Gervin playing outstanding defense.
Yes. And they're really making her work on the offensive end. As you saw that last time, they try to get it into her.
Johnson with the first free throw. 6'2", 6.5-foot wingspan. Still hasn't decided where she wants to go to college yet, but one front runner is Bethel University out in Arden Hills, not too far from Brooklyn Park. Johnson makes both free throws, and that improves Duluth East's mark to 12 of 15. 80% clip for Brooklyn Park, or for Park Center. We have a foul before the shot and a little bit of confusion. There's some spectators who thought I was speaking to them. No, I'm calling the game. You're fine. Yes, you're watching this online on Prep 45 and wherever else you might be watching this game. So to finish up, that's Duluth East with an 80% clip in the free throw line, Rogers 60%. And the big difference is the number of attempts. Yes. Rogers has 5, Duluth East has 15. And that helps keep this margin manageable, 31-23.
Yeah, that's really what's helped them keep them in this game.
Through the hole, but too strong, was Dahlgren, and Johnson has it. She backs off. And I've noticed these teams are playing more patient possessions. Neither of them really have the athletes to run a fast break game compared to teams like Park Center or Waconia is perhaps one of the best examples.
Right.
Johnson, the lay-in was no good. Here's a fast break, but that comes up empty for Rogers. Dahlgren couldn't put it down, and a traveling violation on Nowak, and that's tough off an offensive rebound.
Yeah, she just couldn't quite gather herself, unfortunately.
That never happened to you when you were playing, right, at Highland Park?
Never.
You never traveled once?
Never.
And while you and I
I'm sure you can dig out a clip of me traveling.
Actually, it wasn't you traveling. It was you getting tripped up. It was you going on a fast break of all things, and Hutchinson player figured the best way to stop you was to send you sliding on the old floor of the Met Center, which as I recall, was pretty slick since it was up on top of the hockey rink.
Yes, exactly. With all of its dead spots that it had.
I'd say the facilities have gotten an upgrade since then.
I would say so.
Target Center, of course, now it's at Williams, with Target Center hosting a collegiate hockey tournament. But even Williams, with the renovated floor and the new video technology, is a lot nicer than when it was first held there.
Oh, my gosh. We would have gladly have taken any of those.
And a low arcing shot falls for Doberstein. That brings her up to 7. Of course, the biggest change, no three-point line back in those days.
That's right.
So I'm guessing a lot of players, it was all about who could get to the paint the most, or
You know, we still.
Or do you have your outside shooters?
Yeah, we did. We still had outside shooting, but it was nothing like it is in the game today. You know, the three just really changes the game in so many ways. And I think that's why, you know, we don't see quite the same post play either, you know. That
you see a lot of stretch fours, stretch fives.
Right.
It went all the way up to the pros.
Yeah.
You don't see those traditional centers anymore. You want more versatile players, and so you get folks like Candace Parker or Janelle McCarville. Yes, they're known for their post play, but they have range.
Right.
Or Elena Deladon, 6'5".
Yes. Exactly.
And plays like a guard.
Right. You don't get that back to the basket old school play you used to.
Well, and those old school fans, they miss. Hear about Johnson getting the drive, and again, Jervin not on the floor. That's where Johnson thrives most, and she's our first double-digit scorer, believe it or not. Long two, too high, and Johnson with the rebound.
And that was a great drive from her.
Weinberg used up her steps, and no foul called. They let them play. Here is Paulsrud. Kicks out. Three is short. Miller corrals it. Almost lost it underneath her legs. Lob. And the layup for Marina Nowak. Up to 4 points. Johnson, one-on-one, wins that battle.
You know, she's so strong to the left, and, you know, Mike, you don't get a lot of strong left-handed players, so it's always hard to defend those. So she really has an advantage.
But right now, both teams trading baskets, and Rogers holding on to their 8-point cushion. Here's Paulsrud. Out to Nowak. Nowak going up against Johnson. And Johnson, she's no dummy in the post. Libben. There's a collision, and that will be a foul on Doberstein. And here comes some subs. Shervin's going to go back in. I wonder why. And Duluth East sending in several of them. We're going to see Olsen, Rudolph, and Leiter back on the floor. Duluth East running their 8-player rotation. Duluth East, 4 of their players are on the National Honor Society, and as a team, they average a GPA of 3.5.
That is awesome.
Well, and I always admire the players who take academics seriously.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these athletes do. Johnson, 14-footer, was blocked by Shervin, but Olsen racing through, tried to bounce it, and they save it. They missed out a chance on a look down low, but they hang on to it. Olsen, that would have been huge. Johnson tried to reach for it, and that's going to be a reach-in foul. No, it's going the other way. I thought it was going to go against Rudolph. Instead, it goes against Rogers for the push. Bailey Miller with the 3rd personal foul. And my commentary is drawing attention from all over this building.
They're not used to having commentary, Mike.
Well, Channel 12 will come down here for a game or two, but and no bounce there from Maggie Leiter. I'm not so sure Rogers and Duluth East are used to this, though. Timeout for Carly Anderson. The Rogers Royals holding on to a 35-27 lead with 11:13 left in regulation. 30-second timeout. I was going to say the 3-point line, those old school folks you're talking about, they missed the days of the mid-range jump shot, but at the same time, I feel it really spaced out the game, and I think helped you pay more attention to your formations.
Yes, you know, it really brought a whole new element to the game, you know. I mean, especially back in the olden days when you're down by 12 points, you're kind of thinking the game is over, you know. But obviously adding the 3 to that, you put up a couple threes and all of a sudden it's a different ball game.
And of course, the biggest, another big change from your day, they played in quarters back then.
Exactly. Which they still do in Wisconsin.
Well, they do. Minnesota's the only state that plays halves. Traveling violation. I believe that was Marina Nowak. Minnesota's the only state to play halves.
Yeah, actually, my dad was just asking me what dictates that. I don't know.
And I wasn't paying too much attention to the prep scene back then, but I know your daughter actually went through that transition. Your oldest, Kiara, in her freshman year, played under the quarter system. And Minnesota actually is the highest scoring state in the nation. And they say halves have a lot to do with it because there are fewer chances to run out the clock.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to 4 quarters where you can do that, you have 2 halves, so you're going to play more possessions as you normally would.
Right.
You're not going to sit back and hold it that last minute like you would in quarters.
Yeah, makes sense.
Marina Nowak just picked up her 4th personal foul, I believe. That's what I see on the scoreboard. And if that's the case, that could be problematic for Rogers, but Jervin, once again, anytime you put Jervin on Johnson, Jervin's going to come in your face.
Yeah, she's making it really, really tough for Hannah right now inside.
I think she's had 2 or 3 blocks unofficially. And again, she leads the state. Not blocking at the same rate as Chase Coley was a year ago, so I don't know if she'll be threatening that record. But like we said, one way to get up front, just wait for the talent above you to graduate. Duluth East, as you talked about those threes, they're looking for it, and with an 8-point game, a couple of threes could bring them in. Jervin beats Johnson down low. And Duluth East will call a timeout.
Yeah, when serving gets positioned like that down low, it's almost impossible to stop her.
And how do you think Jervin is winning that battle with Johnson? I mean, when you look at the scoring, Johnson has the edge, but a lot of those points have come when Jervin is on the bench.
Right, because you see that when Jervin was down there just in these last couple of possessions, you know, she just can't maneuver on the left side like she can with other players. She's just too big. So she gives her a lot of frustration down there.
So 10-15 left. What do you think needs to happen for Duluth East to make that rally?
So I think, you know, Duluth East in the last few possessions, they're, like I said, that they were really trying to go to Johnson and make it more of a one-on-one game and make her go at Jervin, but they really need to work it around and kind of catch her at a point to where she can use her quick first step to drive and not necessarily play, you know, with her back to the basket. If they get her up around the free throw line, she turns and can drive to the basket. You know, maybe she could get some body contact. But, you know, just that one-on-one play is awfully tough for her to get off her shot.
And, of course, you've been here for both days, so what is your impression of the inaugural holiday tournament that Park Center is hosting?
I think this is great. I think everything has gone really well. You've had great competitive teams, everybody in the basketball spirit, so I think it's off to a great start.
Well, everybody seems to have their own tournament these days, don't they?
Yes,
they
do.
Hopkins used to have one. And that was considered the premier of the winter tournaments, but they had a tough time finding schools that wanted to play them.
That always becomes a problem.
Well, they kept winning for so long, and then Eastview, well, actually, it was Eden Prairie who ended that streak in the semifinals in 6A back in the section bracket. Libin, oh, I thought she traveled there, but she avoided it. Here's Johnson up on Jervin again. Once more, Jervin disrupting Johnson's attack. No block there, but you know her presence is felt. Another miss, rebound by Miller.
And at least, Mike, I think that's a better look. As I was saying, they brought her out to the free throw line and gave her a few steps to drive. So it gives her a little better opportunity to maneuver around Jervin.
Well, they had a good look inside. They tried the entry pass on the back shoulder to Jervin, but it was too high.
Yep.
And that's when you're up by 10, you know, and trying to put this one away, that could sting a little bit.
Yes.
Libben out to Johnson for three. Short. Johnson has it. Turn around, got it, and Durbin moved out to contain Leiter, so that left one-on-one coverage and Johnson taking advantage.
And that was Libben, I think, Mike, number 31.
You're right, it was Libben. Well,
oh, nice pass.
and that time I know it's Libben as she scores down low. It's a 6-point game, 37-31. Two-possession game with 8:30 to go. And Rogers trying the runner. That comes up short. Scrap for the ball, and Rogers calling the timeout to maintain possession with 8:22 left.
So to give you credit, Mike, they look an awful lot alike. I'm looking at the two.
Good eye. That's good.
They both have long, dark ponytails with the pink headband, so they look a lot alike.
Well, hey, thank you for being spotter. So that puts Libben up to 6 points, and we're going to get a little footloose here, I imagine, with the last 8:22 in regulation.
A lot of 80s music.
You must be loving this.
I'm showing my age.
Well, you graduated the year I was born, if I recall.
Thank you
The year you
for the
graduated
reminder.
from high school was the year I was born.
Great year, 87.
That's all right. We won't hold that against you. I'm showing mine a little bit too. When kids that you covered are now becoming parents or coaches, that's when you've been around for a while.
Just wait until you're covering London. Then how are you going to feel?
London and maybe Maurice Hill if Taylor hangs around.
That's right.
Because remember, I covered Taylor Hill all the way from her sophomore year of high school all the way through to the WNBA.
Exactly.
I know she didn't play much last year because she was going through her pregnancy. Hopefully we'll see her back at full strength next year. I know she was excited to get back in uniform.
Oh, yeah.
Rogers with a big-time triple. That's Taylor Paulsrud. And Rogers needed that with Duluth East threatening. That was off of number 42, who's not on the roster here for the Royals. Selich. She has it. Selich is open. On the feet from Johnson, but no good, and a dead ball rebound to the Royals. 7:54 left, and this is the opportunity for Rogers to milk some clock here because they're not a fast-paced team. They play those calm possessions, so I've got a feeling this is your chance to utilize that.
Right. So, they really want to work it around,
Well, they'll go inside to Durbin and
Or give it to their go-to player.
give it to their post who is asserting her will. The only time you've been able to stop her is when the coach pulls her out. And that's going to give Rogers a strong foundation to build with next year when Shervin becomes a senior. Weinberg subbing in for the Greyhounds. Shervin was 3 of 3 from the free throw line in the first half. Well, she's 4 of 5 now. But an offensive rebound, and here's a chance for more points, and Shervin gets the 3 points play in reverse.
What a great feed inside.
Well, that brings the total up to 14. You don't think Rogers scripted that, did they? I don't think they drew that up.
I don't think so.
But good presence on the boards for the Royals. And remember, this was a team that really didn't have a lot of time to prep. I mean, they got their 20-minute clock in, but again, a bus malfunction, so a very short shakedown time, and that hasn't affected Rogers too much.
Yeah.
Selich out to Johnson. She's going to try out against Durbin again, find some space. Again, going left. And that's her style, as Joaquim Harris noted. She's a right-handed player, but she loves driving left.
Yes, she does.
And Durbin has picked up on that all day.
And I mistakenly called her a left-handed player, but she really does favor her left, which is really unusual.
Here's Dahlgren out to 42. And number 23 has it. That's Taylor Anderson. So now she's in the game. But they're feeding Gervin. And Gervin is helping Rogers feast on this holiday season. Gervin up to 16 points. That might be enough for Rogers to hang on, considering the pace of this game. Well, Gervin has a three-point play in reverse, and she has one in the traditional format. She's 5 of 6 now from the free throw line, 17 points overall. Selich drains the floater. But the question, of course, will Duluth East have enough time to orchestrate another comeback? They got within 6. Not closer since, and that's going to get it done. A foul on the way up for number 31, Allison Dahlgren.
And they're bailing them out a little bit, Mike. I feel like if they just stood their ground and, went straight up instead of swatting at the ball, they already have a tough shot, But to put them on the line doesn't help their case much.
And Dahlgren making the most of it. Rogers 7 of 10 from the free throw line. Duluth East has not reached the free throw line at all in this half. And Johnson can't bounce it off the window. So Rogers really getting more disciplined here in the second half, preventing Duluth East from going to the line early. And to the rack, Allison Dahlgren. That might be enough for the Royals to hang on. Dahlgren up to 6. 50-33 our score, and Rogers getting a run at the most critical time.
Yes, and unfortunately what you saw that time is literally Duluth East getting out of the way and letting them drive to the basket because they don't want to get another foul. But you either need to step up and get in front of them out on the perimeter, or you're going to take a charge down low. You can't just step away and let them walk to the basket. That's just too easy.
And it's worth noting there is no restricted zone at this level like there is in college and the pros. That's another change. That might trickle down here at some point, but that would make the post game a little more interesting.
Yes, actually we were talking about that in the Park Center game last night. There was a charge call, and
who were you talking with? I know it wasn't me.
No, with some fans on the game last night.
What are you saying? What do you mean we were talking about it?
Well,
I was watching the Gophers come back from Nebraska.
You're right. Not we as in me and you.
I know. So you were talking with some fans about this restricted, as Rogers uses up their last foul to give on the blocking foul.
Right, and so they were kind of disputing the call, but I had to remind them that really the reason why they called it is because the player was really too far under the basket. Even though we don't have that half circle to make it so obvious, the refs obviously try to gauge it by sight a little bit, and that's really what happened.
And part of that is a safety concern because all those players clogging the paint, with how much banging goes on down there, you can do a lot of damage.
Yes.
Selich missing the mid-range J, and Weinberg can't clean it up, but Rogers can't get the rebound, so the Greyhounds will hang on to it. They're still not out of this.
And she had
They're
great
need to run
position.
Soon, though.
Yes.
Entry pass to Weinberg. She'll shoot 2.
So now you can see Duluth East really going on the inside without number 34 in the
Gervin
game.
back in. Like night and day. Night and day difference.
Yep.
To use a phrase that I believe you used back all those years ago. As Weinberg continues to pad her numbers in the free throw line. That's right. You came up during the All-Star Series at the old Schoenecker Arena, and we were talking about the difference between your day and the current era of prep basketball. And it's still changing.
Yes. Ever changing.
That was Duluth East's first trip to the free throw line. Unfortunately, they split, and that's going to be tough to fight back when you're trailing by 16. 17-footer off the heel. Saved by Rogers. No putback, and the rebound by Weinberg. Duluth East, they have to hurry here. They're going to need a quick scores. Weinberg sees it. Well, and they're playing smart. They see coverage up close. They're going for it and catching Rogers out of position to draw the fouls.
Absolutely, and she even hesitated a little bit, but going to the bucket, that's really what they need to focus on right now.
So Weinberg was perfect until her miss, her split in the last trip. Let's see what she does here. I really got to stop bringing that up. I got to stop bringing up the free throw numbers.
Oh, yes, exactly. I think you are jinxing them now.
It's the old trope, the broadcaster's jinx.
Right.
Weinberg missing both, and this is not the time you want Duluth East to come up cold. This will allow Rogers to eat up more clock with 4.5 to play. And Doberstein.
Yeah, the few times they've been to the line, they really need to take advantage.
Doberstein with the bucket down low. She's up to 9. And it's 52-34. A little fancy work by Seelich, but she comes up empty. Libin is blocked on the fadeaway. Here comes Rogers. One more for good measure. It's Paulsrud. That brings her up to 11. And Rogers, I think you can make it official. They will go to 4 and 5. Duluth East will fall to 3 and 6. Johnson. Well, now she's getting blocked by the other post. It's Doberstein who stops her that time.
And I think it's interesting, Mike, that they decided to put the press on. You know, they don't want them to get any hopes that they're going to come back in this one.
Well, throw them something they're not anticipating.
Yes, exactly.
It's always a good strategy.
Yep.
Well, and I spoke with Joaquim Harris beforehand, and he said, they're still working on their mental discipline, just learning some things. And, of course, Duluth East, because of their location, they don't play the same caliber of teams, at least the same frequency as teams here.
Right.
How about that give and go? And the finish. And Taylor Anderson with the first field goal, again, leading the state in assists and steals. She's headed to MSU Mankato. Didn't play much today, but she's played a big role for the Rogers Royals through the first month of the season. But Duluth East, because of their location, they can't play the same caliber of competition as a school like Park Center in the Northwest Suburban, one of the toughest conferences there is in the state. And, of course, with your Kiara at St. Paul Central, the city conference wasn't as strong, but they got to play a lot of great non-conference teams. I remember that loss to Centennial. That was a big one. And
yes.
That series with South. They lost the first 2 meetings in that one,
yes.
But without those 2 meetings, who knows if they would have learned enough to prepare them for the fateful 3rd meeting.
That's exactly right. And, that's what really gives Park Center a great advantage because they are 3A. They play a lot of big 4A schools, and that's a big advantage that other 3A schools don't get to have. So.
And the nice thing is, even if you lose those games, you don't have to deal with those teams in the state tournament. But I think Park Center showed a lot of growth last year when they were beating some of those teams they had a tough time with in the conference.
Right.
Well, and perhaps the biggest, you weren't there for it, but De La Salle ran them out of the building for 3 straight section finals, and Park Center finally got their comeuppance last year.
Yes, and I could definitely understand from the fan support how much that game meant to finally overcome that De La Salle.
Almost like how you felt when Central finally got past South, because I remember that first game, South won by 20. They ran away with it.
Yes.
And folks were thinking there was no way Central would repeat. Actually, Centennial, speaking of Northwest Suburban, they were the presumptive favorite. And
yep.
Osseo knocked them out in the section final.
Absolutely, that's right.
So that was a topsy-turvy year.
It was.
No upsets of that kind last year, but again, when you never won a state title before, in Park Center's case, they hadn't. Marshall had, although it was many years ago.
Right.
You don't want to call them the underdog, but you're always thinking, is that entering their mental perimeter, their mental boundary? Because even though they weren't involved, you're always I imagine you're probably thinking about the pressure of trying to get them that first one.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of, they were in a Cinderella situation last year, right? Like you said, when you've never been there before.
Right. No Cinderella, but yes, they'd never been to state, they never won. Well, Duluth East forcing a inbound turnover here. A little too late for a comeback, but again, this is a big learning experience, and Joaquim Harris, with the independent scheduling, he's able to take on some of these top teams in 4A to help them grow.
Right.
Of course, they're dealing with another one of those Northwest Suburban teams. Anoka has dominated that section. Johnson, goes left again, and now she has 14. And that's a silly foul.
Yes, it is.
Backcourt fouls drive me insane.
Sometimes they're incidental, other times.
Other times you're playing foul and chase.
Yes.
So you're trying to stop them, but nothing of that sort here. But that was, you don't need to do that. But as we said, they'll learn, and as Joaquim Harris said, it's mental discipline. And Alex Nagel, he's smiling. He got here in time. Plenty of it for our Park Center Champlain Park match, and we've had a fun one here. And like I said, Rogers, they played this Park Center team tough that we're going to see later this afternoon.
Yes, they did.
And traveling violation on Duluth East. So Rogers, perhaps a dark horse, but speaking of Northwest Suburban, Anoka, they've had a strong showing. Centennial got to state last year. Park Center, of course, in 3A. It's a very tough conference to get out of.
It is, very much so.
Several of those teams shared those sections. And we can't leave out Osseo. They've had a strong run for many years.
Yes, they have. It makes it fun and competitive.
More free throws coming here and stat padding time.
Well, I guess a good takeaway, Mike, for Duluth East is that, for 3/4 of the game, they were still in it. They were still fighting. Rogers ran away with it at the end, but, that's a good takeaway for them, that they still fought hard.
But I believe this will be a great learning experience for Hannah Johnson, going up against a post player similar in skill set.
Yes.
And number 15, Abby Jordan, almost lost her footing, nearly committed a lane violation, almost falling over.
She caught herself.
Had that been football, might have been a false start. Johnson with the deflection. She tried calling for the backcourt violation, but Doberstein recovers in time, and she will be the third Rogers player to break double figures. She's up to 11. Well, this was fun calling another game with you. I didn't expect it coming into today, but I'd say you've picked up quite a bit since our last encounter.
Well, thanks,
and
Mike.
I actually know what I'm talking about, which helps.
You know a lot. You've learned a lot since we met last. This is awesome.
Well, you'll get to cheer on your daughter. Actually, she played in the JV game. I know they came up short in that one, the Champlain Park, but I saw she got a couple of threes in there.
She did. It was a tough battle.
Well, and one day she'll be wearing the varsity uniform, and I see, she still looks up to her sister wearing her number.
Yes, she does.
I think Carly Anderson can live with that mistake. That's a traveling violation on Jordan. And some other players on the floor for the Royals, Madeline Thibault. And number 14, Rachel Liveringhouse. 50 seconds left in regulation. Well, I know your schedule is busy with all of it going on, of course, helping out with this tournament, but we might have to pair up again in the booth one of these days.
Yes, it would be fun. We always have a good time, and no mishaps today.
Well, at least for you, you were spot on. I got Libben and Johnson mixed up. Well, Johnson commits a traveling violation. Things are getting a little sloppy here in the last minute.
Yes, they are. The game won't end.
They want to get out of here now. Actually, the game was moved up so Duluth East could, had they won last night, could get home at a reasonable time, which is good, fair.
Yes.
Well, Johnson getting one more block on Liveringhouse, something for Duluth East to be excited about. Let's see if Williams can get one more bucket. Well, she'll go to the free throw line. When will this minute end?
It's been long. But they're still playing. They're still fighting.
This is just like last night. That last minute took about 15 minutes between the Gophers and Nebraska with all the timeouts, and Nebraska not really ready for that charge. Even Alex to my left here was wondering how the heck did the Gophers pull that one out? And he wasn't alone. I think everybody. Williams getting the back end. Everybody was shocked. And I think the Gophers made a big statement.
Yeah,
they may not win every game, and without Banham, it's going to be tougher against some of those teams, including Maryland.
But what a great statement win for them. That's awesome.
They communicated to the rest of the conference they are not going to give up. They refuse to be intimidated by anyone. And Nebraska, again, a team they've stolen a few wins from. Now you've got to pay attention to the Gophers again.
Right.
It will not be an easy out with that group. Final seconds will tick away here. Williams, I don't know if that would have counted. But Rogers with the win, 60-37. They move to 4-5 on the year. Duluth East falls to 3-6. And Hannah Shervin, I'd say, is your player of the game with the way she controlled Hannah Johnson in the paint.
Absolutely, especially, Mike, if you consider how much she was on the bench, too. You know what I mean? So she really made an impact not being in the game the whole time.
Well, thank you again, Tracy Buford, for coming back here and putting up with my antics in the booth once more. We'll try to get a word with Hannah Shervin in a moment. This is the Park Center Holiday Tournament right here on TSB Television. I'm here with Hannah Shervin of Rogers, and you had 17 points today, but a very strong inside game for you. How were you able to assert so much dominance against Hannah Johnson?
Well, it's nice having a good team that can pass into you, and North Tartan for the off-season helps you learn how to be strong inside. So.
North Tartan, a very familiar program, of course, at AAU, and before you got going, it was the outside game that Rogers used to their advantage. So how did that help set things up for you down low?
Well, they had Lindsay Dorr last year, so that helped. They were used to a big post inside, being able to use that.
I meant in this game.
Oh, sorry.
But Dorr, I think she was second in most block and second in season blocks last year behind Chase Coley. So a little bit of Rogers love.
Yeah.
But back to this game, the Rogers had a strong outside game. How did that help you out?
It was better to get the rebounds inside, and I'm not really sure. Sorry.
That's fine. And Duluth East, they came within 6 midway through the second, and then you go on a run, and actually it ended on a 23-6 run. How did you create that advantage to pull away?
We talked about it in the locker room. We needed to get more rebounds. We needed to be smarter with our plays, slow it down, run through our main offense, be smart with it.
I also noticed you had more discipline in the second half. Duluth East didn't get in the bonus until late. How did you polish that?
She said to be smart with our fouls. We were picking up too many just little tic-tac fouls that we didn't need. So we were smarter. Just let them shoot the layup. They can get the 2 points.
And what is your thought of the inaugural Park Center Holiday Tournament? Of course, you played Park Center earlier this year, and so you're familiar with this team. Now you had a chance to play 2 games against some high-quality opponents. What's your takeaway?
It was much better competition than last year. We went down to Jordan last year. I think this is much better for us. It's better to play tougher teams, improve our game. Even if we lost the first one, it was a good competition for us.
And you proved that you can win even with the short pregame window. I heard you had some trouble getting down here. What was your favorite moment from these 2 games?
Probably the fact that most of our players got in this game. I think it's a lot of fun when we travel for holiday tournaments, so when everyone gets in. It's fun to see some of the JV players score.
And what are you looking forward, and where do you want to grow as you get ready to move into conference play?
We need to focus on playing 2 halves. We've had some games where we played rough. The first half, came back the second half, almost won. We need to put 2 halves together and play a full game.
And last question, anyone who want to say hi to that will watch this on Prep 45?
My grandma and grandpa.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and congratulations on getting this win over Duluth East, and perhaps we'll see you in the postseason.
Yep, thank you.
Hannah Shervin of Rogers will be back for the championship game later this afternoon.